than 200 cattle seized by farmers at Pangawe village in Morogoro. And in sports, the Japanese embassy pledges support to Tanzania in the Tokyo Olympics. Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get things started with the national news. Tanzania has said steps taken by Parliament in amending laws on political parties, non-governmental organizations and the media aim to improve accountability and transparency and to ensure national values are respected. This was said by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation, Professor Palamagamba Kabudi, in Geneva, Switzerland, when addressing the 43rd Human Rights Council of the United Nations meeting. Meanwhile, Professor Kabudi has met and held talks with the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland, who said Tanzania is an important stakeholder to the association.
The laws governing access to Information and Media Services Act were formed to create a conducive environment for reporters working in Tanzania, including better pay, insurance and better contracts. We've spoken to the international community about steps that have been taken by the National Assembly in amending laws governing political parties and non-government organizations aimed at increasing transparency. We have also spoken about the coming general election, which will be free and fair just like it has been in the past, but also on how as a country we will uphold human rights.
So today I was able to give the Honourable Minister a copy of the Commonwealth's analysis of where Tanzania is today, who Tanzania is trading with, who you're exporting to, but who you are receiving goods from. And together, we are determined to expand the trade within our intra-Commonwealth family. I hope that the 19% advantage that we identified in 2015 can grow. What if we could make it grow to 30%? If it was 30% cheaper, easier for us to trade together, that wealth creation would enable all of us to meet those development goals, to look after our women, our children, and our environment. Climate change is causing such horror across our Commonwealth.
And more than 200 cattle have been seized and held for more than 18 hours by farmers from Pangawe village in Morogoro Rural District. The situation has led to chaos, prompting the District Commissioner, Regina Chonjo, to order the arrest of the village chairman and owner of the cattle. The farmers had seized the cattle, claiming their livestock had caused destruction of crops on their farms.
Jana kama wananchi tukishirikiana na serikali.
Yesterday, we, the people working with the government, decided to go and speak to livestock keepers so that they could remove their livestock, but they refused and caused disturbance of peace. So we put them under arrest and brought them here. Yesterday, the chair came with his people and confiscated my livestock and brought it here when no farm produce has been damaged.
Paki ng'ombe wako uondoke eneo hili. Eneo lile nimeliangalia, halifai kuishi ng'ombe hata watano.
You must remove your cattle because this area is not fit for grazing. However, rules must be followed when deciding on such cases.
Ukamfungulie mashtaka kwa kudanganya.
And Kisutu Resident Magistrate Court has sentenced 2 Chinese nationals, Zheng Rongmen and his wife Uya, to pay a fine of 1 million shillings each and confiscated $5,000 which they had wanted to give as a bribe to the Commissioner General of Tanzania Revenue Authority, Edwin Mhede, so that they could avoid paying tax amounting to 1.3 billion shillings. The court gave the sentence after the accused admitted to having committed the offence so that their company, Longland International Industry and Trade Company Limited, can pay less than the 1.3 billion tax to the Revenue Authority. Hundreds of residents of Kagera region and other neighboring regions have turned up at a Thanksgiving service to commemorate 1 year after the death of Ruge Mutahaba, the former director of programs of Clouds Media Group, who died while undergoing treatment in South Africa. The service was attended by various government leaders and other development stakeholders at Kitwe Village, Karabagaine Ward in Bukoba District Council, where the late Ruge Mutahaba was laid to rest.
You can always impact other people's lives. It doesn't matter how long you've lived. This is extremely important. We will continue to remember him. We still believe that if Tanzanians use opportunities at their disposal, then they can change their lives for better and develop their nation. What is most important is for all of us to honor the work he did.
And Vice President Samia Suluhu Hassan has called on women in the country to make sure that the 50-50 gender ratio is put in political party manifestos in the coming general election this year. Vice President Samia Suluhu Hassan made these statements in Dodoma when launching the African Women Leaders Network Tanzania branch.
Inaitaka Afrika inayothamini watu wake.
For an Africa which values its people with gender equality, whereby women are empowered to serve their positions in whichever capacity. But women must have equal leadership opportunities in decision-making, in all levels, including political and economic leadership, without forgetting public office.
Na wewe ukiwa ni kiongozi mwandamizi, ukiwa ni msaidizi wake namba moja.
One major success in leadership is your presence here today, Honorable Deputy President, but also in our Deputy Minister. So you can see this reflects in our President's leadership, but also in government. It is 50-50.
Is the site for women. This is where power is born before even the OAU. So it's not of surprise that we see today Tanzania launching the Aulin chapter. Today we are continuing this journey which aims to enhance the role and leadership of women and shaping our continent agenda, the development agenda.
And the Chief of Defense Forces, General Venance Mabeyo, directed the National Service Production Department, SUMA JKT, to implement its projects professionally, particularly those given by the government, in order to safeguard the respect it has been given. General Venance Mabeyo gave the directive at Bwigiri in Chamwino District, Dodoma region, when inaugurating the National Service Headquarter building.
Inathibitishwa na idadi ya miradi ambayo tunakabidhiwa kuijenga na kuisimamia.
This has been made clear in the projects we were supposed to undertake and manage. In this regard, I would like to urge you to use this opportunity to build capacity and strengthen ourselves. It is important to have our own equipment rather than to hire. We must keep in mind value for money. I would like to remind you about observing procurement procedures and to lower costs to complete projects.
Tunapopewa jukumu, tunaona jukumu hili litatekelezwa na vifaa gani. Hivyo huo uzoefu tuutumie kujiimarisha.
Muhimbili National Hospital Mloganzila branch has continued to conduct breast tumor removal surgeries, with 8 patients expected to be operated on between the 26th to 28th of February this year. The breast cancer surgery at the hospital started last year, whereby 160 patients have undergone the surgery.
Kwa hiyo leo, kesho na Friday tutafanya operation.
Today, tomorrow and Friday we will operate, and we shall operate 8 patients, 5 out of which 4 will be operated to remove swellings, while 2 patients will have mastectomy.
Na uvimbe wengi wanakimbilia kutoa ule uvimbe. Wanakimbilia kutoa, kwa bahati mbaya kuna wengine hata hawapimi. Kwa hiyo unakuta anaenda anatupa.
And the abattoir in Singida Municipal has been closed down after an inspection operation which was implemented because of its filthy conditions. A food safety officer from Tanzania Bureau of Standards TBS, Vincent Mileo, said that the abattoir had become a health threat to customers.
Baada ya kupata malalamiko mengi sana kutoka wananchi ambao wanaishi karibu na machinjio hii.
After receiving a lot of complaints from consumers that it was putting their health at risk, as you can see, there is no proper infrastructure in place to support activities that go on here. So we have stopped all activities until improvements are made.
Sababu nyinyi mnaona sehemu ndogo tu. Kuna sehemu kubwa katika mtaa huu ambayo inasababishwa na.
There is a bigger area that has been affected by this state of the slaughterhouse.
That's all for national news. International news is next. Three people were killed during a cattle raid at Tiamamut village in Laikipia North, 265 kilometers from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. One of the rustlers was killed during the incident, and police have strengthened security in the area.
Watu wameuliwa hapa. Imagine watu wamekufa.
It has been about 4 days since we started complaining and telling the government that we need security because we will be embedded here.
Tangia siku tumeanza kulalamika na kuambia serikali tunahitaji usalama kwa sababu hapa tutavamiwa.
I want to tell the government to intervene and come and place a permanent camp of officers here so that they can stop invading us.
Ningewaomba msiwe na wasiwasi.
I ask you not to worry. We have sat here and set procedures to safeguard this place.
Ndio naona niko na ile security yangu ya usalama ya account.
Some fighters from Rudi Urinana group, which has joined forces with rebel Kayuma Nyamwasa, who fled to South Africa last year, have been arrested by police in Rwanda to face allegations of carrying out attacks in the country in October of last year, which resulted in the death of 14 people at a Kinigi area.
The Kinigi attack was a vicious one, and we were a group of 43 people. We invaded Rwanda at around 10 p.m. and found ourselves surrounded. It is only God that enabled us to escape. When we invaded Kinigi area, we were attacked. I was forced to turn back and I found myself in Uganda. I surrendered to the government of Uganda.
While cases of coronavirus seem to be tapering off in China, new ones have emerged suddenly across Europe. Global health officials are bracing for the spread of the virus to become a pandemic. Meanwhile, several thousand students, largely from across Africa, remain stuck in the epicenter of the outbreak in China. Let's turn to Berlin, where William Glucroft from our Deutsche Welle partner is standing by with the latest on efforts to contain the virus. William, first off, let's start with what is the latest on the spread?
Well, European health officials are saying it's concerning, it's a serious matter, but there's definitely no reason to panic. We do have a few hundred cases in Italy. It's spread to France, Switzerland, Germany, Croatia, Greece, Spain, many countries now, and these cases keep coming up. And they're going to continue to come up, but of course we should note that the death rate is very low. But what global health officials and European health ministers are worried about is they just don't know what the full extent of this spread is, because there may be many people who have it and haven't reported it or haven't been checked by a doctor or a medical specialist. There might be people who only have mild symptoms or no symptoms and still able to spread the disease. So we're still very much in an investigative phase where health officials are trying to find out more about a disease that's spreading very quickly, and just trying to keep on top of it and find out as much information as possible to give out the best information. But so far, no major changes. There have been some sporting events canceled and cultural events canceled, but life in Europe continues to go about its normal way as it would any day.
So how are German as well as EU health officials preparing to handle infections?
So the European Commission, which is the executive arm of the European Union, they have told member states to review and revise their pandemic plans and plan for a pandemic, although the WHO, it should be noted, have not actually called this outbreak a pandemic yet. It hasn't quite fulfilled all the definition of a pandemic. Nonetheless, they are preparing. There was a conference of European Union health ministers in Rome just the other day to decide what the common European response is going to be. Mostly that's just information exchange, ensuring that every country has the best information, the most information possible, the most up-to-date information possible. But there was some talk of closing borders. Remember, the European Union, for the most part, has an open, a free travel zone, the Schengen zone, where people can travel freely across borders. That's going to remain as it is, but there are some hotels being locked down. And as I mentioned, sporting events, Carnival in Venice has been canceled. And looking ahead over the next few weeks, certainly organizers of major events are starting to wonder if they're going to have to cancel or postpone their events as well.
So what about the controversy over countries like Germany that long ago evacuated the nationals from China, while citizens from developing countries remain largely without assistance from their governments?
That's absolutely true. It really comes down to countries who have the resources not only to go to China to get their nationals out, but also to bring them back to their home countries, bring them back safely, be able to quarantine them, treat them if necessary. Countries like the United States and Germany have been able to do that quite successfully. But countries without those kinds of resources, they've argued that the best place and the safest thing for their nationals who might be in harm's way is to stay where they are. There's an estimated 300 or even 400 students from Tanzania who are still in the Hubei province in China. That is the epicenter of this coronavirus outbreak. Among some total about 5,000 students who are estimated to be there. That's from an organization called Development Reimagined. I've been in touch with the CEO of this consultancy that's based in China. They're keeping track of students from Africa who are still stuck in China. And of course there is the desire to bring them out of harm's way to make sure that they themselves won't get sick. But China has finally proved that it's doing quite a lot to handle the situation with good medical facilities, with building hospitals to treat people who are sick. So many of the countries, especially in Africa, who are saying we don't have the means to be able to do it in our country, better that you stay in China, stay where you are. If you do get sick, you should seek medical attention there where they have their facilities to do it. And in the meantime, basic hygiene standards apply for any kind of disease. Wash your hands, keep away from sick people, and if you do feel sick yourself, stay at home, self-isolate, and go to a medical center to seek treatment.
Well, thank you very much, William, for that insight. Tanzania is working very hard to make sure that our citizens and our students who are in China are doing well. And until next time, catch you soon.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And that special report leads us to the end of international news. We'll be back with business news after this break.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production, infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back and on to business news. The government has completed plans for construction of a big factory which will manufacture medical equipment and process cotton in Simiyu region as well as other lake zone regions.
Our goal is not only to export raw cotton, of which currently 70% of our cotton is exported unprocessed, while Tanzania is one of the countries of which there are only 4 that produces organic cotton. It is a good thing that these matters are discussed. We need to have good procedures so that the issues being discussed can be addressed properly. We had single entry tourism in this zone, but we have removed it, and from the 1st of this month we directed the TANAPA board to remove this to allow villages bordering Serengeti in Simiyu region to be active in business.
The manager of Small Industries Development Organization, SIDO, in Lindi, Mwita Kasisi, has said during the period of 4 years, the organization has issued loans amounting to 895 million shillings in the region.
In the space of 4 years, we have given sufficient loans, which is about 895 million. In the beginning, we had an average of 1 million shillings per person, but this time around we have doubled it. Firstly, I would like to thank SIDO for giving us the training. It will help us as entrepreneurs to conduct business better and help our business grow.
Arusha region has started the process of bringing together financial institutions and small entrepreneurs in order to come up with procedures which will allow them to access loans without collateral.
The best way to provide support is to support the President's directive, push people to invest, push people to build factories, create good business opportunities for them, and alleviate the challenges they face in doing so.
That's where we leave off with business news. Sports is next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. They're trying to go with him, but he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. They're trying to go with him, but he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Opposition, Marquinhos, he did lose to Lind.
And in sports, the Japanese embassy in Tanzania has pledged to support the country in the upcoming Tokyo Olympics, with the judo team heading to Nagai for training camp before the Morocco qualifiers.
To support Tanzania, so that I have always close contact with Nagai City. As you know, Nagai City is a host town of the national team of Tanzania. So I hear that they have secured enough budget to receiving the Tanzanian national team. So for the training and some coordination of that before the preparatory work, the Olympic Games. So I would like to support Tanzanian team, and I'm planning some. This depends upon the performance of the qualification games, but I'd like hold some kind of seeing off reception in Dar es Salaam.
And the Alliance women's team has boasted of defeating Simba Queens in the next Women's Premier League encounter, which will be played at the Mo Arena this Friday.
The game will be good because if you say they haven't lost a game, even we haven't lost a game. They have drawn twice, we have drawn only once in an away game. I know for certain that we are playing a good team, so we have prepared our own approach when we play away.
Robert Lewandowski should be bracketed alongside Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo in any conversation about the world's best forwards, according to David Alaba, who saw his teammates comprehensively outmaneuver Chelsea in Bayern Munich's 3-0 win at Stamford Bridge. Here's more.
Bayern ran riot in the second half, Lewandowski applying the final blow by converting a cross from the electric Alphonso Davies. But the two assists he had supplied for Serge Gnabry, the first a particularly unselfish layoff when he could have been excused going for goal, showed another side to his game. Alaba said the 31-year-old, who has scored 39 times for Bayern in all competitions this season, belonged in the most exalted company. Such a dominant Bayern performance sparked suggestions they are ready to win their first Champions League since 2013. Meanwhile, Jorginho admits that Chelsea were taught a lesson by Bayern Munich in their 3-0 defeat at Stamford Bridge, which leaves the Blues with a mountain to climb to reach the Champions League quarter-finals. Serge Gnabry scored the first two goals early in the second half, and Robert Lewandowski added a third before Marcos Alonso was sent off late on to cap a miserable night for the Blues. Frank Lampard's side were thoroughly outclassed in the first leg of the last 16 tie, and Jorginho acknowledged that Bayern are serious contenders to win the Champions League outright. In another game yesterday, Barcelona drew 1-1 with Napoli in Italy, with today's games being between Real Madrid and Man City, as well as Juventus and Lyon.
The Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, has confirmed that it registered an appeal for Manchester City as the reigning Premier League champions fight to overturn a two-season Champions League ban.
UEFA found the club guilty of breaching financial fair play rules and failing to cooperate with its investigation, heading City a €30 million fine on top of their 2 European suspensions. City moved quickly to profess their innocence and vote to prove UEFA wrong, with the CAS appeal the first order of business. CAS has now confirmed the appeal has been lodged, releasing an official statement on Wednesday which reads, "The Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, has registered an appeal filed by Manchester City Football Club against the Union of European Football Associations, UEFA."
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. On behalf of everyone who worked to bring you this bulletin, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching and good night.
Delights. This is the first adorable wedding fair for 2020. If you want to have that special event, especially kama ni you have a little party at home, au unahitaji kuwa na additional like big celebrations at home, then kuna vitu gani classic ambavyo unatakiwa uvijue, au watu fulani ambao wanafanya vitu vizuri unatakiwa kuwafahamu.
Tuna hii citrus cake, unaweza katesti, ina flavor fulani vya amazing unique, inatokana na hilo tunda la citrus. Yaani inakuwa lemon, so lemon, chungwa si chungwa, hilo chungwa. Nadhani unazijua chungwa fulani, kuna hata kipindi fulani zilitokaga sabuni zake zimeandikwa citrus, yes. Inanukia kama chungwa, mara lemon au pineapple. Kwa hiyo ni balaa hiyo cake.
Design hii ni design ambayo mostly inafaa kwa sehemu za nje, mfano garden, ndo inaenda sana tofauti na kama indoor, yes.
Unakutana na keki ambayo inakuridhisha zaidi hata ulivyoiona nje. Nje ni nzuri sawa, lakini ndani inatakiwa kuwa mara mbili, kwa sababu keki ni chakula.
We're going to check out on the solutions and on the options that is available in terms of food, in terms of drinks, as well as cakes, pastries, all that is involved in making your special day memorable to your family and friends.
Karen, tell us, how has it been going at this year's festival?
Well, the turnout, Vanessa, is amazing as it is.
Thomas, hello.
Nice to be there with you.
What is the purpose of this meeting and who will be in attendance?
Talking about how African countries can stop relying to a large extent on...
We are definitely seeing a lot of deeply political films, either directly treating a political issue or with a political subtext.
Don't miss the live special report between Capital Television and Dashwell Television at 9:30 p.m.
Habari za wakati huu, watazamaji wetu wa ITV pamoja na wasikilizaji wa Radio 1 popote pale mlipo, karibuni sana katika kipindi hiki cha dakika 45. Jina langu naitwa Benjamin Mzinga. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinakupa fursa ya kufahamu masuala mbalimbali ya kitaifa, na leo nimebahatika kuwepo na Brigadier General Charles Mbuge ambaye ni mkuu wa Jeshi la Kujenga Taifa hapa Tanzania, JKT. Brigadier General Charles Mbuge, karibu sana katika studio za ITV. Asante. Nafurahia sana uwepo wako kwa siku hii ya leo. Asante. Kwa kweli ni furaha iliyoje katika mwanzo huu wa mwaka, ikiwa ni mwezi wa pili huu tunakutana katika dakika 45. Na wakati natafakari pale namna ambavyo najiandaa kwa kipindi hiki, nilikuwa napitia majukumu kadhalika, nilikuwa napitia na malengo ya uanzishwaji wa JKT. Nikapata picha, kuna baadhi ya watu wanaweza wasijue vizuri, lakini kuna wengine wakawa wanachanganya JKT na JWTZ, Jeshi la Kujenga Taifa na Jeshi la Wananchi wa Tanzania. Nikasema sasa nikikutana na Brigadier General Charles Mbuge, nitasema ni fursa ya kuweza kutupatia uelewa pamoja, tuweze kujua majukumu lakini na lengo la kuanzishwa kwa Jeshi la Kujenga Taifa. Kwa hiyo sasa nikasema watu angalie hapo. Tukianza hapo, Brigadier General Charles Mbuge, nini dhumuni la kuanzishwa kwa JKT na malengo yake? Karibu sana.
Limeanzishwa tarehe 10 Julai 1963. Baada ya kuanzishwa JKT, ikaji kazaa chombo kinaitwa SUMA JKT, shirika la uzalishaji mali. Nalo